following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general viewing.
It is the first week of June. This is International Roundups. I'm Dennis Aseto, KTN, in partnership with Violet. We begin in Kenya. And in Kenya, activists have gone to the street to say no to the United States' decision to set up a quarantine facility in Kenya. This to help in treating U.S. citizens who have contracted the disease in DRC Congo. Kenyans have said no to having what they call as coffins in the country.
So today, we are bringing the coffin of William Ruto to the Afya House so that the Minister of Health can deal with it. Let's go! No, no, Ebola! No, no, quarantine! 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 No, quarantine!
Kenyans have a constitutional right to be informed and consulted on matters that directly affect public health. It is not lost to us that this government signed an unheld agreement with the US government that gave up our biodata and patient medical records to the US for a period of more than 5 years. This is in contravention to public safety and national interest. We further question the prioritization of such a facility at a time when many public hospitals continue to face staffing shortages, inadequate equipment, insufficient medicines, and other critical healthcare challenges. Kenya is not ready to tackle such a pandemic. We saw how this country was scuttled by the corona pandemic. Now importing Ebola into Kenya would be giving us a challenge too big to surmount. We have given the Ministry of Health 72 hours, a 72-hour ultimatum to respond to our concerns and demands. Failure to do so will compel us to pursue action and peaceful public assemblies as guaranteed under the Constitution of Kenya and Article 37.
Down, down, Ebola!
Down, down, Ebola!
Down, down, Ebola!
Down, down, Ebola!
Ruto ni muuaji!
And still on a related matter, but this time round coming from World Health Organization, the Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus Adhanom has said that the cases of Ebola have gone down, but that the disease remains a global concern, asking everybody concerned to invest on the same in ensuring that the numbers go down.
The number of suspected cases has now been reduced to 116 from over 1,000 last week. As we work through the backlog, either confirming them or ruling them out. In Uganda, there is 1 confirmed death and 15 confirmed cases, including a Congolese resident who traveled to the United Arab Emirates and then to Uganda. WHO is working with public health authorities in Uganda and the UAE to gather additional information, assess the risk of exposure during travel, and to facilitate contact tracing. We thank both the UAE and Uganda for their collaboration to mitigate the risks related to this case.
WHO, we have deployed 106 staff in the field, and that are distributed in 3 provinces. But at national level, we have a lot of infrastructure that has been infected, and we are putting those personnel in quarantine. That means there will be a shortage of national personnel in those places. And we support the Ministry of Health in order to take other healthcare workers in other provinces in order to replace those personnel in the province.
And Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu made his way to the Kremlin, where he was welcomed by his host, Vladimir Putin. And they were seen together taking photos as he touched down in the country. Still at the Kremlin, President Samia Suluhu has said that this is a historic visit not only for the Kremlin but for Tanzania as well. This, as they say, they are working together in building their bilateral relations between the two countries. Take a look.
My visit is a very special has a very special significance to me personally and to the country. It has been more than a century since the last state visit to Russia, and that was in 1969 by Mwalimu Nyerere, our founding father of the nation. So to me, it's a very, very historic trip coming to Russia to discuss some issues of our bilateral cooperation, but also sustainable development for our people. So on behalf of myself and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania, I express our sincere appreciation for this invitation.
Still at the Kremlin, and President Vladimir Putin has said that the visiting of President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania is a good sign not only for the Kremlin but for Tanzania as well, as this opens doors for further collaboration and bilateral relations.
Уважаемый господин президент, дорогие друзья, мы очень рады видеть вас в России.
Madam President, dear friends, we are very pleased to see you in Russia. This year will be marking the 65th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. It is a pleasure to note that following your inauguration, you chose Russia as the first foreign country to which you are paying a state visit. We see this as a very good sign. All these years, especially in recent years, when you were both a minister and served in the government as vice president, you have consistently focused on the development of our bilateral relations. They have always developed at a good level, intensively. Last year, we saw a rise in trade turnover of around 20 to 25%. That is a good figure. Undoubtedly, we need to increase trade turnover, and we have every opportunity to do so. I am referring to a wide range of sectors: energy, geological exploration, transport, logistics in general, healthcare and education. By the way, I know that tomorrow you will be awarded an honorary doctorate from our Patrice Lumumba University, and please allow me to congratulate you in advance on this occasion. We work closely and intensively together on the international stage. We listen to each other and support each other. We've just been discussing the possibility, and I hope this will happen the day after tomorrow, that you will speak in St. Petersburg at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. We expect that your country will also be represented at a high level at the 3rd Russian-African Summit. We are very pleased to see you. Madam President, welcome.
Россия, Африка, ваша страна также будет представлена на высоком уровне. Очень рады вас видеть, госпожа президент. Добро пожаловать.
And we got to Ethiopia, and Ethiopians went to the elections on Monday, and with that saw the party that Abiy Ahmed belongs to winning the elections, despite the fact that the elections was marred with security concerns. But that notwithstanding, everything seemingly worked out for the country.
በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ የመጡ የዓለም አቀፍ ታዛቢዎች መጥተው የአፍሪካ ህብረትና የኢጋድ
International observers from around the world, including the African Union and IGAD observers, have been monitoring our electoral processes since the first hour of voting day. People have been voting peacefully, mostly without any security concerns, patiently waiting in long lines, in the sun, in the dark, in the cold. There was a question specifically from your area. There was also a question raised that some polling stations in Addis Ababa were seen with people who were not allowed to enter. The board deployed a monitoring team to investigate. Some of the suggestions that came were found to be true on the ground, so the board took action. Also, the monitoring team that went there is based on some of the suggestions we received. Polling station staff were dismissed when they were found acting inappropriately or not in accordance with the law and regulations.
From East Africa, we'll go to the western part of the continent. We are in Burkina Faso. And in Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Traore welcomed his counterpart from Benin, saying that it is significant and important for the countries to continue building on the bilateral relations that had been seized a little bit earlier after Burkina Faso was kicked out of COMESA. But this is an opportunity for both countries to then again come back together and build relations.
Le 2 juin 2026, Son Excellence M. Romial Wadani, Président de la
June
République,
2nd, 2026, His Excellency Romuald Wadagni, President of the Republic of Benin, paid a goodwill and working visit to Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso with a view of giving a new, lasting impetus to the relations between the people of Benin and Burkina Faso. On arrival at the Ouagadougou International Airport, President Wadani and his delegation were welcomed by Comrade Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Burkina Faso, accompanied by members of the government, heads of institution and representatives of the established bodies. This visit is fully in line with the shared commitment of the two heads of state to strengthen the historic ties of friendship, brotherhood, and the cooperation that bind Burkina Faso and the Republic of Benin. This visit enabled the two distinguished leaders to conduct an in-depth review of bilateral relations and the main issues of African and international interest. At the bilateral level, the two presidents reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening political dialogue and deepening cooperation between their countries. They emphasized the need to build a renewed partnership based on trust, mutual respect, solidarity, and the search for solutions to the common challenges facing the region, including the security situation.
South African government has said that it will continue to deal with illegal immigrants. President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that as much as the country will be looking at dealing with illegal immigrants, xenophobia will not be tolerated in the country. This is coming at the backdrop where we've seen that other immigrants from African countries have been mistreated by South African nationals. But now the president saying that will not be allowed.
As we work to build a safer, more stable and more prosperous society, we do need to address the challenge of migration. When it is well managed and regulated, migration can help to drive economic growth and opportunity for all. However, we need to deal with illegal migration. We have seen how illegal immigration into our country can put pressure on our public services and undermine our efforts to create decent work for all. As announced in the State of the Nation address, government is taking decisive action to address this challenge. We are cracking down on violations of immigration laws. We are increasing our inspections of workplaces and prosecuting employers who violate our labor laws.
When you think about Rwanda, what exactly comes to your mind? It comes about the colonial master, which is the French. But that notwithstanding, despite the disagreements that have existed for a very long time, President Kagame was hosted in France by President Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron said this is an important aspect for the country as both of them work together in building their relations. President Kagame was there in opening of a museum that reminds the country of what happened in Kigali during the massacre. The war in the Middle East continues to hit the headlines every other day. This time round, despite a ceasefire that has existed for a very long time, residents of Kuwait and the Kuwait government woke up to drone attacks at the airport. This despite the fact that there are negotiations that are ongoing between the Iranian government and the US government. Now, still in the Middle East, and President Donald Trump has said that immediately a deal is signed, the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. This as he continues to say that the mines that are underwater are being cleared one at a time.
But one of the other things that's important, and very important, is that immediately upon signing the Memorandum of Understanding, the Hormuz Strait will open. And it'll open up quickly, and we've already had our minesweepers there. You know, we're sweeping, as you probably have heard. And these are underwater minesweepers. They're great, amazing technology. They're underwater because usually when you're looking for mines, that usually means you have some dangerous characters out there. That's why, so we're underwater, but we've swept mines, and we've gotten most of them, we think. So, but the Hormuz Strait will open immediately upon signing. Now, that's subject to a couple of areas being cleaned out also of mines, which we don't think there are any. So it'll happen very quickly, and we'll take the southern route anyway. But immediately upon signing, we open up the Hormuz Strait.
When you talk about security, one thing comes to mind: the United Nations Security Council. As much as there are few who have veto powers, there are those who are non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. Kenya was once a member there, but now Kyrgyzstan has been elected as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. And this has come with different parties accusing each other when it comes to that win by Kyrgyzstan. I'm talking about Germany blaming Russia on them not being able to vote for a person that they wanted to sit on that seat.
The 5 outgoing non-permanent members are Denmark, Greece, Pakistan, Panama, and Somalia. These 5 states are not eligible to be re-elected today. Their names, therefore, should not appear on the ballot papers. Apart from the 5 permanent members, the Security Council will include the following states in 2027: Bahrain, Colombia, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Latvia, and Liberia. The names of these states, therefore, should also not appear on the ballot papers. Of the 5 non-permanent members which will remain in office in 2027, 2 are from the African states, 1 is from the Asia-Pacific states, 1 is from the Latin American and Caribbean states, and 1 is from the Eastern European states.
From Kyrgyzstan, we go to Portugal. And Portugal government is happy after being voted in a historic moment to sit at the United Nations Security Council as a non-permanent member. This as many countries continue to push to have a seat at the table to determine security not only of their countries but of the world.
Muito boa tarde. Como acabou de ser conhecido, Portugal foi eleito na Assembleia Geral das Nações Unidas para mandato de 2 anos.
A very good afternoon. As has been just announced, Portugal was elected at the United Nations General Assembly for a 2-year term of a non-permanent member of the Security Council. I want, on this historic occasion, in which we achieved this result for the first time in the first round, and in which we won a race we contested against Austria and Germany, to note that this is a great achievement for Portugal on what is the biggest stage in international politics, and against 2 clear, strong opponents. This victory brings dignity to Portugal and projects us in the world. Portugal is a credible and respected country, and a country that intervenes and participates at the international level. And we understand this mandate as yet another demonstration of precisely that track record of ours. On the international stage, Portugal has a strength far superior to our economic or demographic size. Both embraced with the government the campaign that allowed the result we have just achieved, and, naturally, those who are the main operatives on the ground, our diplomatic network, our ambassadors who, all over the world, and also at the United Nations, gave voice to the principles that guide our foreign policy, our formation as a country that builds bridges, that sees in dialogue, negotiation, diplomacy, and multilateralism the option to resolve the great challenges and conflicts of the globe, and, above all, to safeguard the rights and dignity of every person. This universalist vocation of Portugal was, in our understanding, crucial for the success of this campaign.
Femicide continues to pose itself as a global problem. I'm going to give you an example. In Nairobi this week, activists were on the streets calling upon the government to ensure that femicide is defeated. And this is the same story in Argentina, to be specific, in Buenos Aires, where women came out to say femicide is a problem that needs to be addressed not only today, but as far as yesterday. This as they call upon governments to do all they can to defeat the menace. And that's it. Kenyans have said no to setting up a quarantine facility in their country. This, as South Africa says, they will continue dealing with illegal immigrants in their country, but assures those in their country that xenophobia will not be there. As well as we talk about the fact that Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan went to the Kremlin to build relations with Russia. All this on KTN in partnership with Vauri, only on International Roundups. I'm Dennis Aseto.